Hi, Design from Groovy Entertainment. Today we got another book to read for you. Today's book is Beauty and the Beast from 1991. So let's get started. Once upon a time, in a faraway land, there lived a young prince in a beautiful castle. Although he had everything his heart desired, the prince was spoiled and selfish. One winter night, an old beggar woman asked the prince for shelter from the bitter cold. In return, she offered him a rose. Repulsed by the old woman, the unkind prince turned her away. The woman warned him not to be deceived by appearance, since beauty is found within. But when the prince dismissed her again, the old woman ugly melted away to reveal a beautiful enchantment. The prince tried to apologize, but it was too late. The enchantment knew there was no love in his heart. As punishment, the enchantment transformed the prince into a hideous beast. Then she placed a powerful spell on the castle and all who lived there. The rose she had offered was a enchanted rose. It would bloom until the prince was 21. If he could not learn to love and be loved before the last petal fell, then the spell would be broken. If not, he would remain a beast for all time. Ashamed of his monstrous form, the beast hid inside the castle. A magic mirror was the only window to the outside world. As years passed, he fell into depression. He did not believe that anyone could ever love him. Slowly, the rose began to wither. In a nearby village, there lived a young girl named Belle. She was very beautiful, but Belle, unlike the other girls in the village, cared only for her books and always felt out of place. Her father, Maurice, was a reader of books too, but while Belle read about adventures and romance, her father studied technical books. Maurice was an inventor, a genius according to Belle, a crockpot according to the townsfolk. Belle is even stranger than her father, the villager whispered. Her nose is always in a book, and her head is in the cloud. Gaston, the hunter who was the handsomest man in town, wanted to make Belle his wife, no matter how many times she turned him down. Gaston would not take no for an answer. He was determined to wed the lovely Belle, even though she thought he was a brainless brute. One cold day, Maurice hitched his horse, Philippe, to a wagon and set off to show his latest invention at a faraway fair. With his mind on the fair, Maurice became lost in the mist forest. As an icy wind whistled through the trees, he suddenly heard an even more disturbing sound, the howling of wolves. Philippe bolted and Maurice fell onto the ground. To escape the wolves, the frightened man ran deeper and deeper into the woods. He came to a castle that seemed deserted and stumbled inside. There Maurice was greeted by Mrs. Pot, the teapot, Cogswell, the mantel clock, and Lemur, the. But before he had time to the marvels over the strange creature, an even stranger one appeared, the beast. When Maurice stared at the beast in horror, the beast howled angrily. Then he scooted Maurice to up and carried him off to a dungeon. Meanwhile, Philip P. had made his way back home. Belle took one look at the riderless horse and knew something awful had happened to her father. Philippi, take me to him, she cried, leaping astride. The exhausted horse, without a pause, the animal thundered off toward the woods. When she raced, when she reached the castle, Belle busted inside and searched frantically for her father. The enchanted object led her to the tower, but just as she found Maurice, the beast appeared. Belle let out a terrible gasp at the hideous sight of the beast. When she realized that Maurice was captured, Belle begged the beast to free her father. When he refused, she bravely offered herself in Maurice's place. No, Belle, Maurice cried, even as the beast had done. Before Belle could bid her father goodbye, the beast led her to her room. The castle is now yours, home, he said gruffly. Belle was free to go anywhere she liked except the west wing. You will join me for dinner, the beast ordered. That's not a request. Though Belle refused, and the beast stomped off in anger. That night, Belle slipped out of her room and found her way to the forbidden west wing. She discovered the beast's foul lair, but he was nowhere in sight. Belle was drawn into the enchanted rose she saw by the window. When she reached out to touch it, the beast suddenly appeared on the balcony outside the window. Belle screamed and fled from the room. Her heart pounded. Belle ran out of the castle, mounted Philippi, and fled into the night. But a pack of wolves soon had the girl and her horse surrounded. Belle was helpless. She knew that death was near. Suddenly the beast was there, throwing the wolves aside. A terrible snare and howling sound as the beast and the wolf battled for their life. At last the wolf ran off into the woods, but the beast lay in the snow badly injured. Back at the castle, Belle gently bound the wolf wounds. Gently as she was, the beast roared in agony. I barely touched you, said Belle. Then she saw a lot of pain on his face. I forgot to thank you for saving my life, she added softly. The beast only grunted in reply, but when Belle turned away, the hint of a smile could be seen on his face. In the days that followed, the beast tried to be a proper host. He showed Belle his library, where they read together, and she in return began to teach him how to act like a gentleman. Perhaps it isn't too late, Cogswell whispered to Mrs. Pot and her son Chip, the teacup. If Belle could only love the beast, this dreadful spell might yet be broken. The winter passed presently for Belle and the beast. Belle thought of the beast as her dearest friend. He thought of little but the beautiful Belle. One night, while Belle was teaching him how to dance, the beast stammered, Belle, are you happy here with me? Yes, said Belle, without hesitation, but the beast saw a trace of sadness in her eyes. Then Belle added, if I could see my father again, even for a minute. You can, the beast said. He handed her the magic mirror. Belle gazed into it without wonder, for there was Maurice through the forest, but he looked frail and old, even as she watched her father collapse in a heap. I must go to him, Belle cried. He might be dying. The beast heard her anguish plead. I release you, he said sadly, but take the mirror, then you will always have a way to look back and remember me. With the magic mirror to guide her, Belle soon found her father, but their happy reunion was cut short. with a pounding of their college store. We have come to take Maurice to Madison de Loom, announced the director of the village insane asylum. No, Belle cried. My father isn't crazy. Gaston's friend, LeFou, stepped forward. Maurice had been raving that you was imprisoned by a hideous beast. He said, only a crazy man would tell just they tell. But it's true, Belle protested. Her rory eyes searched the angry crowd and lit on Gaston. Gaston, she cried, you know my father isn't crazy, tell them. Gaston quickly drew Belle to one side, and he whispered that he might be able to calm the crowd if Belle would promise to marry him. Never, Belle explained. And my father is not crazy. There really is a beast, and I can prove it. She turned to the crowd. Look in the mirror and see. The town people looked at the beast reflection and grew frightened. Gaston was furious. His plan would be further. We must hunt down the savage animal, he cried, stirring up the mob. Who's with me? We are, answered the villagers. After locking Belle and her father in the cellar of the college, the villager rode off to storm the beast's castle. Luckily, Chip, Mrs. Potter's son, has stowed away in Belle's saddlebag. After the villagers was gone, he used Marie's latest invention to release Belle and her father from the cellar. By the time Belle reached the castle, the town people had broken in. Gaston and the beast was in Morardeau. On the castle roof, the beast managed to knock Gaston's weapon from his hand. Then there was nothing to stop him from killing Gaston. Nothing but the beast's own humility. Gaston screamed for mercy. The beast granted it and turned away from his foe. Then Belle watched helpfully as Gaston rose up and plunged a knife into the beast's back. The beast roared in pain. Frightened, Gaston backing away from the wounded beast, the hunter lost his footing and fell off the roof into a fog below. Broken-hearted, Belle flew to the beast's side. You come back, the beast said weakly. At last I can see you one last time. No, Belle said, sobbing. As she kissed his cheek, please don't die. I love you. At that moment, the spell was broken, and in one magic instant, the beast turned back into his princely self. The enchanted servants returned their human form as well. The castle came alive with rejoicing. Mrs. Potter cried human tears of joy as the handsome young prince gathered the beautiful Belle into his arms. Mrs. Cogbwell and Lamore had not one doubt that the loving couple would live happily ever after. So that was Beauty and the Beast for 1991. So if you like, subscribe, share, and comment, have a groovy day with another video coming out real soon.